So thanks so much for joining me today, George, here at the News Channel 8 studios.
It's my pleasure, and I get to be on your fishing show now.
That's right, Real Talk. It airs weekly. I do give you some tips on how to catch some fish locally, but let's talk about you for just a second. Tell me a little bit about yourself for our viewers who may not be familiar with our fishing world.
My World of Saltwater Fishing television series, believe it or not, this is year 24. I've got to believe it's one of the longest running national saltwater fishing shows around, and that's been my entire passion. I'm a Miami native. I grew up there. I moved to Broward County probably about 26 years ago, and it's the only sport that I really loved, and I was fortunate enough to turn it into a livelihood, and it's in my blood. People ask, what other sports do you like? And I hate to say it, it makes me seem boring, which I am. It's just fishing, and I love fishing, and
we definitely share that passion. I completely agree. So how did your love for fishing start?
Started with my father. My father was a dentist in Bay Harbor, and he loved to fish. And ever since I was like 6 years old, he'd take me off a seawall and catch his little snappers and grunts. And from the very first time that he had done that, it got in my blood. And it was something that, it's an addiction. And so I blame it on him. And he loved to fish, and we used to call him the fishing dentist. And ironically, I'm the only one in the family that has that, you might call it a genetic trait or whatever, because no one else really likes it other than me, and I guess I inherited that from my dad. You
loved it and took it so far as to make it a career.
Yes, I can't really imagine doing anything else, and so like I said, I was very fortunate enough to have turned that into a livelihood, and so here I am, and here we are.
So, I mean, you have had an incredible fortune. I mean, you fished all over the world, and you've caught some really exciting things. But let's talk about Florida specifically. What's your favorite part about fishing here in Florida and off of our coast here on the West Coast?
It's what I like of all the places I've been to, and I've been fortunate enough to have gone a lot of places through my writings with saltwater sportsmen, but I like where I grew up, the waters of Biscayne Bay, the Florida Keys. I spent a lot of time there too. And coming over here to the Southwest Florida, we've done quite a bit of stuff out of the Fort Myers area, and I have done shows out of Tampa before. And I just think that when you fish your local waters, be it here or where I grew up and still go down to fish the Miami area, I think if you put together a really good day in the water here and then over there, you're really doing well, because there's so many more people out there fishing now. There's a lot more pressure on the resources. And some of these places, foreign places, you could go and there's little pressure and the fish almost jump in the boat. But it really takes a skill set and knowing the local waters to really make it click here as well as over my side, as you well know. So I think it makes you feel that much more accomplished when you put a good catch together locally.
Yeah, and that's what I want to try and do for you guys at home, because we can catch a lot of different fish here versus on the east coast of Florida. Definitely a huge variety of fish there. But I was very pleased to know when George reached out to me earlier in 2023 to possibly be a guest on his show. So tell me how that all came about.
Well, we were what I try to do with my television series and the seminar series that we do, we try to involve more women in the sport, because that's the growing aspect of our fishery. And it's really hard to find a female angler that's really sharp that could fish. There's a lot of showboating going on and that. And I had heard about you, and in fact, it was a mutual friend, Mike Goodwine. He says, you need to get a hold of Amanda. And I said, all right, so tell me about Amanda, because she's the deal. She catches fish. Go to her Facebook page or social media. So I looked you up, and I said, wow, you look like you really know what you're doing. So I made that call to you.
Yes.
And when I make the call, it's sort of a feel-out process. So when I hear, about you, what kind of fishing did you do? It's sort of like a little quiz. Wow, she does know her stuff. Yeah, and you passed. So I said, you know what, this could be pretty good. Take you out of your element, which is mainly inshore here, take you down to the Florida Keys, and get you involved in my world, which is the offshore fishing. So that's how that transpired. So you came highly recommended, and you definitely proved to be the deal.
So I was going to ask, did I pass the test on the water? Let's talk about that.
Flying colors, and I'll tell you what, you wash down a good boat too afterwards. I get a little break on that.
I enjoy washing the boat. I like a clean boat for when we go out the next time. That's one of my favorite parts. But obviously catching the fish. So we went down to the Florida Keys and had a great couple of days down there, specifically fishing for yellowtail snapper. We caught some kingfish, Spanish mackerel. Tell me a little bit about how we went about doing all of those things.
If you remember, we started off kite fishing with live baits and seeing if we could pop a sailfish or a kingfish, but the water conditions and current just wasn't right, as you well know. So you talk about adapting to the environment to score. Well, that offshore with the kite fishing was not doing it. So I said, all right, let's change gears. We'll go onto a reef, we'll anchor up, we'll chum, and we'll catch the yellowtail snapper. And is exactly what we did, and had a ball catching yellowtails. They were coming fast and furious for a while there. And it goes to show you that, you know, if one tactic or technique isn't working for a species, you change it up and know what your plan B is. And plan B, in this case, turned out to be really, really good. And you went to town on those yellowtail, and I got to commend you on that. And because of you, we had some fresh fish dinners. We didn't have to go through a drive-through somewhere and get a burger. You know?
That's right. Yes, we were able to catch them in one day, eat them the next. It was a really fun trip. I really do thank you for inviting me on this trip and just getting to experience the fishing with you. It was really awesome. I've watched George since I was little, growing up.
Thank you. You just made me feel old, but go ahead, continue, please.
No, you have some awesome shows, bringing on a variety of people, and I believe I was your first meteorologist.
You were. And there was a little bit of a hidden agenda. I figure if I could invite a meteorologist, you had the power that would make the perfect weather. You see, I was trying to work you on that angle here too. But
we tried. We had a couple of rough days. But
you were supposed to bring better weather, but you know.
I know. We caught some fish. We did, and that's what we do. So we're going to have more on our trip here over the next couple of days, specifically how we caught our yellowtail and specifically how we caught the Spanish mackerel. But our episode on your show is going to air at the end of March.
It is March 24th, which is a Sunday, 8 o'clock in the morning on Discovery Channel. And you'll be seeing yourself fishing with me as well as your viewers. And then that's the first time it airs. Then it re-airs on Discovery in the second quarter. So mark March 24th on the calendar, Discovery Channel, 8 o'clock. And you're going to see, actually, we'll sort of break the title now, not keep it a surprise. We named that episode The Weather Whiz in your honor.
I love it so much. I'm very excited to see the episode. I have not seen it yet, so we'll all get to watch it together. But thank you so much for joining me here, George, but also appreciate you inviting me to be a guest angler on your show. It was really the
Anytime,
trip of
you have
a
an
lifetime.
open invitation. Thanks.
Thanks, George.